Number 25 says compute the integral of pi squared times sine squared of pi x over secant of pi x. So when you have things involving trigonometry, if the first move that you need to make is not blaringly obvious to you, or you're not really sure how to interpret the information in front of you, the go-to technique is rewrite what you were given in terms of sine and cosine, and then take another look at it and see if things are more clear. So I'm going to rewrite this integral. Right? The numerator is already in terms of sine and cosine. And secant is 1 over cosine. And so as we talked about before, with trig functions, because each of them have their own reciprocal identity, if you want to move something from the numerator to the denominator or vice versa, it just turns into its reciprocal. So when I move secant into the numerator, it becomes cosine of pi x. And don't forget your dx. So now I want to take another look at it and see if this looks more clear. So I have sines and cosines. They are derivatives of each other. So this is sort of priming me to possibly be in a u sub situation. And the way you kind of make the decision of what to make u and what to leave for your du is, well, which one do you have more of? So here we have 2 sines because it's squared. So this needs to be our u, and then this cosine is saved to become our du. So I'm going to let u be the sine of pi x. Then I'm going to calculate my du. Okay, you don't pull du from the integral. You come up with a u, you calculate your du off of this decision, then you verify that everything you need is there. If it's there, you proceed. If it's not there, then you might need to fine-tune or redefine what you're calling u and try again. So we don't just magically pull the u and the du out of the integral. We actually hypothesize a u, calculate du, verify, and then decide whether to proceed or not. So calculating our du here, this is a chain rule derivative, so the derivative of sine is cosine. So we have cosine of pi x as the derivative of the outside function, and then we multiply by the derivative of the inside, which is just pi dx. So now I'm going to come back to my integral, and I'm going to make sure all the bits and pieces I need are there. So sine of pi x is there, we're fine. I need a pi, and I need a cosine pi x dx. So every single thing I need for my du is right there. So I'm going to also underline this in pink so we can see what we were doing here. So this passes the check, so now I'm ready to proceed. Now I want to translate this integral from variable x into our variable u. So the pi and everything I've underlined here is all going to become du. Sine is squared, so if u is just sine, then this just becomes u squared du. And you'll also know, oh, sorry, I forgot that this pi is squared, so I still have 1 pi left. I missed that when I recopied the integral. Some of you might have been screaming at the screen at me. But yeah, this was a pi squared, so one of these pi's went with our du. That left me 1 more for there. All right, once you've successfully done this step, right, it should be something that's very easy for you to anti-differentiate. That's another way you know you're on the right track. So one of the things I would advise you to do is these little checkpoints I'm kind of explaining to you through the problem. If it's not working, don't force it. Backtrack and fix it along the way, right? So these are little clues all along the way through the problem that it's working well or it's not working. So one of the things I see students do a lot when I grade papers is they pick something, it's not really working, so they try to force it to work, and that's just not the way math works. All right, so now let's anti-differentiate. So this is pi u cubed over 3 plus c. And on indefinite integrals, meaning integrals with no bounds, u sub is just a tool we use kind of to use as a placeholder so that way we can get through the problem, but you still have to provide your answer in the variable that you started with. So we have to go back and rewrite this, plugging back in what u was. So u was sine of pi x, and if u is cubed, we need to cube the sine, and so this is our final answer.